What's up, guys? So you want to know whether or not if you should be choosing an authority site or a micro niche based site, and I'll have the answers for you. But first, let's roll that intro. All right, so what's the big deal on whether or not if you pick something that has a bunch of authority or something that is more micro niche? Now, I get asked this question a lot since I like to build audiences and I like to solve problems for people based on what they need the most. So I get asked a lot, well, is it better to have some sort of big authority site that covers a lot of different topics, or is it better to have a micro niche site? Now, you may be wondering, what is the difference between those two? And I'll be happy to explain that to you right now. Basically, the difference between an authority site and a micro niche site is how much content you want to create. Now, this is completely and utterly up to you. If you found something that you really love to do and you want to tackle a lot of aspects of a particular topic, then authority sites will be perfect for you. But just be warned that you have to create a lot of content to make those bigger sites work. However, if you want to specialize in something, and I mean something that is micro, let's say for instance, if you're doing a website on cigars and you just want to cover the cigar cutters or a particular curios box, then a micro niche site is much better idea. Here are some things that you might want to consider. If you go with an authority site, you're going to definitely need to probably hire some writers. You don't have to, because some people can create content like this, meaning that they can pump out article after article. They can pump out video after video. They can pump out thumbnail after thumbnail, post after post, and really get their site going. The cool thing about an authority site is it allows you, as the person in charge of the site, to simply pick a topic like, let's say for instance, survival. It allows you to go into survival and cover many different aspects of the survival niche, meaning that you never really need to get bored or like, oh God, what am I going to talk about now? Because I'm in such a small micro niche that I really want to go and start talking about self-defense. I really want to talk about fishing. I really want to talk about how to start a fire. I really want to talk about how to pack a bag. What's the best sleeping bags? I really want to sell products, and I want to do all of these different things with my site. Well, then an authority site might be for you. However, if you are thinking about doing a micro niche site, in some cases, this is better for people. So let's say, for instance, I might go into something like self-defense for women in the survival niche, meaning that, hey, I've just narrowed down my targets to just suit women. And even this can be kind of broad for some people that really like to do micro niching. So they might talk about one aspect of micro niching, like as far as, let's say, sleeping bags or something. You know what I'm saying? You can easily niche down on something very small, very granular. Like there was a lady that I met, and she was doing wheelchair accessories, but they were only for the left side of the wheelchair, and it was a certain kind of wheelchair, meaning that she was able to go after so many long tail keywords that she was able to pretty much dominate the traffic in that sector, because her articles and her content was so specific to one particular niche that everyone that was searching for this one thing specifically, she was able to capture that traffic with very little competition. So it really all depends on how much content you want to create. It also depends on your long tail keywords you want to go after, how much competition is in your niche, and how much knowledge you actually have on the subject matter that you're trying to cover. So if you're not someone that wants to create a bunch of content and you don't want to go after high competition keywords, then a micro niche site may be good for you. However, as I said, you are stuck in that one thing. So if you decide to venture out later, it's going to be a little bit hard to transition out of a micro niche site and turn it into a broader niche if you decide that you want to now offer self-defense for women as well as self-defense for men. It's going to be a little bit hard because your whole site is pretty much catered to going towards helping women with self-defense. So if you are thinking about doing it, just consider those things that I talked about and really try and think about it as to whether or not, if you want to create a lot of content and if you can cover a subject in a more broad manner. And if you can cover a subject in a broad manner, I would say kind of go for that, simply because it gives you the chance to kind of grow and get into other things with inside of that niche. However, if you go with the micro niche site, you're kind of stuck with that, but that's cool. For people who like to change it up and do other things, you might want to do a survival micro niche site now, and you might want to do something on saltwater aquariums later. You know, that's just who you are. You like to bounce around, and that's okay. So it's really all up to you. There is no right or wrong answer when it comes to authority sites versus micro niche, and I'll just cover some really quick points that I went over in this, just for anyone who just skipped to the end of the video. So, micro niche sites versus authority sites. Authority sites typically require more content, but it also allows you to go after a ton of different smaller things within a given niche. Micro niche sites are great if you want to niche down as small as possible to capture a specific audience, which will allow you to capture more long tail keywords with very little competition. That's the difference between micro sites and authority sites. It's just a matter of how much content you want to create, how much competition you can handle, and whether or not if you can stick with one subject at a time. If you go with an authority site, you'll be able to talk about multiple different subjects, but only within the same niche. If you go with a micro niche site, you will have to stick with one particular topic, but then you can always start another site in another niche. All right, so this has been Dude Named Rich. I really hope that this was helpful. You can read about this article in my blog, or you can hit up the podcast, or you can see it on YouTube. I really love you guys. Hope this was helpful. Peace.